All right, everybody, welcome back. Good afternoon. We've got some more safeties to look at. We're definitely down into the sixth round range now, if we weren't before. So, yeah, we are well past the top prospects. We're now down into the past 200 point. We're past the top 200, but we're still trying to find something interesting here. So, we're going to start with Hunter Wohler of Wisconsin, 22. Big safety, 6'2", 213 pounds. Very short arms, though, so kind of atypical in that regard and kind of disappointing, honestly. Usually when you have a big safety, you're like, okay, we got length then too, right? Not really. Not very athletic, not terrible, but it's what you would expect from a bigger guy, right? He's big, so he's not as fast. Um, like I said, he's just outside the top 200 on the aggregate, little all over the place on some of the other big boards. Production at Wisconsin was okay. A lot of tackles, not necessarily a big time playmaker, but also doesn't get targeted a ton in coverage, which is good. Was better in 2023, worth noting. He's a good, sound, fundamental tackler. He's someone who wraps up and does the best that he can. Again, the arm length is a concern, but he's getting the most he can out of his body. He's a high effort player. No one questions his effort. He goes until the whistle blows. Really good at the catch point. Really good at making that extra little push to make sure that he can make a play on the ball. Really good at finding the ball at the last second and making a play on it. He's really big for his safety, like I said, and he should be a good special teamer as well. I think Wohler will be offering value on that side of things. He is slow and not very athletic. So if you're going to be asking him to do like deep safety stuff, you're probably in for a bad time. If you're going to ask him to be in man coverage, you're probably in for a bad time. I don't think his reactive movement skills are going to work in man. He's somebody who can get stuck on blockers. If you get a blocker on him, he doesn't really do a good job sifting through. And there's no way he's going to be like a deep safety, like I just said. So there are limitations with Hunter Wohler, but you're kind of getting what you would expect based on the first impression. He's a big safety. He's bigger than the typical safety that you will find out there. So I appreciate his box safety value. He could be good on the right team. I think he could even be someone that plays defensively for the right team as a box safety, but there's a lot missing here. There's a lot that you need, especially in a Mike McDonald defense that Wohler simply does not have. So I went sixth round pick, mostly just as a special teamer, where I do think he'll be good, but there's a lot missing. Okay, next up is Dean Clark, and this is a guy where we don't have a lot of data here. He did not get invited to the combine, so he didn't do any of the drills, and he didn't even get officially measured. Fresno State, Bulldog, couldn't find his age. Near as I can tell, he's 6'1" and 206 pounds, but that's not official. It could be radically different. It often is with these players that don't get official combine invites. The only major big board he was on was PFF. They did actually have him in like the late 6th, early 7th. Aggregate had him in the 6th. So there is a little bit of sauce here. The production over the last couple years has been decent, not over the top great, about 150 tackles, 3 picks, 9 passes defense, decent numbers, produces a little bit. He's pretty good in run support. He's a little on the bigger side, and he knows how to use his size well in run support, coming up to tackle, coming up to hit. So he uses his size well. He's got a lot of college reps. He played a lot of football at the college level. I think he was like a 4-year starter. Does a good job finding the ball in the air and making plays on it. Good ball skills. He was a team captain at Fresno State, and he was also on a previous team. It was a smaller school. I can't remember which one it was, but he was a team captain in both spots. And he should be able to do good center field stuff in the NFL as well, I think. Or at the very least, his skill set indicates he can be a center fielder. He did have some pretty good pro day testing numbers. Also, I'll say that. I didn't list them because they're flaky anyway. I don't really want to put them up there like they're official. Like if you don't do it at the combine, it's just not totally trustworthy. I will say that he didn't seem as athletic as his pro day testing numbers indicated, which, I mean, that's part of the problem, right? Sometimes that's part of the problem. The testing numbers aren't even legitimate. I think he's pretty close to being maxed out as a player as well. I don't think there's a lot of room for him to improve. And he's not rangy enough. He doesn't cover enough ground to be a true deep safety. So Dean Clark kind of sort of capped out at what he is. And what he is not bad, but I don't think he's going to make big steps forward after getting into the NFL. He's got flexibility, though. I think he can be a decent center fielder, decent in coverage, decent in run support. I don't think he's starting caliber, but that pro day does make things a little bit interesting. Maybe there is something he can tap into in the NFL. I don't know. I don't want to completely count him out. I do think he's a pretty nice player. I'd say fifth round pick. I think that fifth round, you are getting somebody who can hopefully at least be a good special teamer. I think he will be. And could be more than that. Maybe. I don't know if I see him being a starter. That seems a little far-fetched to me. But Dean Clark certainly belongs somewhere in the NFL. I'll take him in the fifth round. All right, next up we have another guy who did not get invited to the Combine, Dan Jackson of Georgia, a Georgia Bulldog safety, 24, 6'1", 195, according to the data that I found, which, who knows. The three big boards that had him, none of them had him getting drafted, or none of them had him in the draftable range. And on the aggregate, he was a relatively late seventh rounder. He only really had 1 year of significant production. It was pretty decent. 64 tackles, couple of tackles in the backfield, couple of picks. Coverage numbers okay, but nothing stand out, nothing too remarkable here. Just pretty, just a cog in the machine of the Georgia defense. He's really smart, really sharp. He's really good at diagnosing plays in front of him. Really has a deep understanding of how to read what's going on in front of him and react to it appropriately. I think he'll be a good special teamer as well. I think he'll give you something on that side of things. He's also got good click and close in zone. If you put him back there in zone, he will break quickly after making his read. He will react well to what he has seen. And he's also a pretty hard hitter. He's able to lay the wood, so he will come through you with force. And that certainly paints a decent picture here. But he's not a very good athlete, and he has to try so hard to overcome that. He has to go so hard at all times just to hang in there because he doesn't have speed, doesn't have explosiveness, doesn't have change of direction, so he's not going to be good in man coverage, and it's harder for him to make plays. Harder to make plays when you don't have the speed to get there. He's not really a sound tackler either. He misses too many tackles. He's a hard hitter, but I think that he goes for the hard hit a little too often, and it results in misses. So overall, I found Dan Jackson to be pretty forgettable. He doesn't have enough tools. I just don't think he physically has the tools to be anything more than a barely adequate special teamer. And I like his smarts. I think he's a smart player, but I don't think it's enough. I just don't think there's enough sauce here. I put him as a seventh rounder. I think that there's no upside here as a starter. I know that there are players out there that get by on their smarts, and they aren't great athletes, but I don't think Dan Jackson has any sauce there. You got to have something. You got to have something. And then you throw in things like he's not really that good of a tackler, and it's hard. It's hard to get too amped for it. So I put him in the seventh round, and honestly, I'm not even sure about that. He might be a UDFA guy. If it wasn't for the fact that he played for Georgia, I might have him as a UDFA. Hard to know those things sometimes. Final guy, Crawford of Nevada, 23. Pretty decent size. He's short, but he's got a decent amount of heft to him. Arm length is okay, 31 inches. Testing numbers were actually great. He tested very well at the Combine. 4.41 speed, 1.52 split, big vert, big broad, very explosive, very fast, good change of direction times. So he's a fantastic athlete. Even the bench press was good. The only big board that I used that had him getting in the top 260 was PFF. CBS had him at 300, and the aggregate has him about the same area as PFF, late 7th. So it's certainly not remarkable, but it looks like that he will at least have a chance to get drafted. He's 2024. Good production, 7 batted passes, 2 picks, 76 tackles. Coverage numbers pretty good. Didn't get targeted a ton. So there's something here that I like. I think Crawford's got something nice. He's a great athlete, and there's a good foundation to build on here with that athletic prowess. He was a big time special teamer in college. He played a ton of special teams. He's really good at it. He's really good at the catch point, really good at knocking passes away, really good at making that final little push to get involved. He's possibly going to be an oversized slot corner, and I don't know about oversized. He's not huge, but he'll be bigger than a typical slot corner. I think that he could find a role there, and I think that could be his place in the NFL. His break on the ball is a little bit slow. I do think that his reads, when he makes a read, he needs to trust it a little bit more and not be so passive. Didn't play a lot on actual defense in college. He really was mostly a special teamer until last year. So you are kind of building from the ground up a little bit here if you're looking at him as a defender. He's not a good fundamental tackler. He doesn't wrap up the way you would like. He needs to clean up his tackling. And he's got a little bit of an odd body type. He is, like, again, he's short, but he's got some good mass to him. It's not something you typically see from a defensive back. So this guy got some good attention at Indianapolis, but this guy had an opportunity to be part of some Texas defenses over the last couple years that have been good, and he rotted away on the bench and only got to play when he transferred to Nevada. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done. I'd say 5th round pick. Part of me wanted to go higher, part of me wanted to go lower. I just kind of split the difference. I think 5th round pick is okay, but there's some work to be done here. All right, one more deep cut safety video coming today. I know we're down to the bottom here. One more video. See you guys later. Go Hawks.